Good evening, everyone. Today is 11/26/2013. Quite a little while since I've done this, maybe a couple of weeks. But yeah, have been pretty busy the last few weeks. So I'm gonna give you a recap. So the last week I left on Saturday, I think the 20th. Saturday the 16th actually, and I went to the Philippines. So I went down there with Stop Hunger Now. We left on the 16th in the morning and got there Sunday the 17th at night, at like midnight or something like that. Then Monday comes around and I woke up at like 9. We had meetings 9, 10, 11. We went to the airport, I think at like 3. Flew out of there, went down to Cebu, spent some time, or went up to Cebu, excuse me, spent all day on Wednesday in driving basically. No, on Tuesday when we got there, we got in a car and basically drove all the way up to North Cebu. Spent like 3 hours in the car with one of the partners down there. Went and saw a lot more where the typhoon actually went through. Hung out with the people up there. And one of the craziest things ever is one of these villages where the typhoon had come through and wiped out the villages. They were all living in the graveyard. So they have these graveyards, and in some of the plots, there's like a husband and wife next to each other, or whatever. And then they build this little like house, like a cement, like two walls, then a back, and then a roof, and then on the front it's like gated. People can open up, they can come in and visit and stuff like that. So some of the families had knocked down those gates and were living just in those graveyards. Like they had literally like their clothes along the wall. They had a mattress or some type of tarp over the coffins. There was one where some guy was sitting there and he had his daughter in a hammock and he was just pushing her back and forth so she was swinging, just kind of hanging out. And it was a fishing village and all these fishing boats were thrown up on the beach. We actually were kind of hanging out with just in the middle with our group taking pictures and stuff, and some of the villagers had come over and I was looking up because I'm cool like that, and I saw a coconut, so I was like kind of reaching for it, just thinking like, this would be good to drink. And literally like this little kid comes running over, climbs up the tree, pulls down the coconut, and his brother like cuts it open and gives it to me, so I drink like fresh young coconut juice out of it. He cut it in half and I could eat the skin and stuff, so it was really really cool of him. And I had bought some cigarettes because I thought we were gonna go and like be a lot more closer to the front lines, like going to village to village to village, and I wanted to hand them out. So when he did that, I'm like, well, don't think I'm gonna hand these out. So I just gave him both cartons of cigarettes. And we left from there. On the way out, there was a couple graves that were open that we could see the skeletons in and stuff like that. So it was really surreal, like going out there. Then we get back to Cebu that night. The next day, we had a few other meetings that we went to, and then we went to an evacuation that actually in Cebu the first day before we left. We had ran into me and this other guy. Tiki had run into this guy John, who's the COO of HSBC, and he does all sorts of crazy stuff down there. And they have like a ton of people on the ground doing, humanitarian work. So he invited us to an evacuation center that next night. So we had a meeting with him and one of his partners. The next night, he invited us over to an evacuation center with his team. So that night, we jumped in a car, drove over to an evacuation center where there was like 300 or something people there, and there was like 150 leaving that night, another 150 coming in. So when we got there, we were able to jump in the feeding line and help feed. I was handing out spoons and forks while all the HSBC people were around me, like handing out the food and stuff. Met some lady boys. That was kind of a bonus of the trip. It was really cool. They were really cool people. It's very strange, but I guess I didn't know what to think at first. But they were really really cool people. Um, Finished up the evacuation. I went and like hung out with like two little girls. One of them reminded me kind of Isabel, and it was just fun to like make them smile. Like they were kind of sad, and I just kind of played around, and they kind of got all happy and started beating me up more or less, which was pretty fun. But yeah, talking with everyone over there, like even though they've lost everything, like people will be people. Like they totally adapted to that area. The kids are just kids. They're happy. They're running around, having a good time. So yeah, it was really 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 cool to do that. Then the next day we went back to Manila, and I split off from Stop Hunger at that point in time. Stayed with my friend Clement down in they call it Global City, which is like it's this beautiful brand new area. And one of the most shocking things about it is while we're walking, there's this giant mall. There's like a Lamborghini store. There's everything you could possibly think of that you want. And we're literally you're walking along the edge. And on this side's all Global City, right? And we're walking along the sidewalk. And over here, all slums, like horrible, horrible slums, like just the like slums that like we walked and visited one up in Cebu, and it's like walking through these tiny aisles like Slumdog Millionaire. It smells like shit everywhere, like just someone took a crap like right there. The guy's house we visited was literally the size of my pantry, if that. It had a fan, like a radio. It was a linoleum floor with like three pillows, no bedding, no anything. That's where he slept. He lived there. He had like clothes hung up against the wall. There was a rooster above him, and like a whole other family or something like that. We asked to go to the bathroom, and he points us outside, literally to the wall, and says, "Pee there." And there's literally people walking behind us while we're going to the bathroom. So it was a crazy experience, and that was so shocking to see the haves and haves not, I guess, right there, right next to each other. It was just crazy, like just seeing the inequality and the poor, like the real poor, was just really brought a lot of stuff home to me, So forgot to mention in Manila we went and visited the Red Cross and talked with I think his name's Richard Grossman or Goman or something like that, who's the president down there, the operating officer, and he was just a douche. Like we walked in, and maybe he'd been working for like 10 days straight and everything like that, and I get the stress, I get all that stuff, but when we went in there, he was just very short, didn't care, like was busy jumping with a bunch of different people. So I guess it was more just disappointing that the leadership wasn't quite where I thought it would be in the Red Cross. So that was kind of sad, but I'm glad we went down, saw. We're still committed to do some stuff with them. Overall, the trip was really awesome. I think the main thing I learned from it was, the NGO space. It's kind of like, I would have loved to go on the ground and actually help out more of the victims, like, the people themselves. But sometimes you need to take a step back and go upriver and say, okay, well, how do we do this from a grander scale? And that's really what we did while we were out there. I mean, a lot of it was just meetings. We met with different partners, figured out how to get the food into the devastation areas, what the quickest way was, trying to coordinate everything and logistically get it in there. And the two times we were able to actually get out in the field, I guess, quote unquote, were really, really cool. But I mean, for like logistical overall, everything like that, it took so much time that two more meetings could have probably done a lot more, but it was really cool to actually go and get that the real sense of what's going on down there. So it was definitely, I really enjoyed it. It was definitely a life-changing experience. Definitely something that I would suggest everyone go and definitely go and help out. See what you can do, donate. If you don't have the time or energy, donate the money, do something. They're people. They're people all around the world, and I know we like to ignore it and stuff like that, but like actually being in the slums and seeing how people live, I don't know, it was just really touching. So, yeah, that was about the Philippines, and came home. Actually went straight to LA. Down in LA, I had a speaking engagement with United Latino Students, and it was awesome. I had such a blast. My cousin Aranza invited me down there to speak, and I had a really fun time. We talked about just got everything, talked about business, talked about life. They asked all sorts of questions, and afterwards I had some of the people come up and take a picture, which I felt really cool about. I got people that wanted to take my picture, and they had a lot of people shake my hands and stuff like that, and I got a cool certificate of appreciation. I left it in the car, or I would have it here so I could show you guys. That was really, really fun, and it was really cool to see my cousins like Ivan and Yesenia, Aranza and Alex, and just spend some time with those guys. So, and then Ivan's mom made some awesome food, so she was really cool. Then from LA, so remember, I was in the Philippines from Saturday until the following Saturday morning, and I left on the, let's see, what was that, the 23rd. So I left Manila on the 23rd at 6 a.m. Got to Japan at like 7 or something like that. Left Japan at 7:40 a.m. and landed in LA at 8 a.m. same day. So a full 24 hours had gone. So I got there, slept some like maybe 3 hours that day, drove down to San Bernardino where the speaking thing was, slept that night, and woke up, did the talk, went back up to LA, slept that night, jumped on a plane again the next morning at like 8 and went up to Portland to go to the soccer game, which was awesome. Like Real won against the Timbers. We're going to so we won the Western Cup finals. We're going to the MLS Cup, which is in Kansas City. Sadly, I'm not going. Real's going. Well, it's not really sad because we're going on a Disney cruise with the kids on the same day, so it's going to be, it's kind of like, well, the team will always be there. Would love to go and celebrate, but this is a memory we're going to have with our kids, so it's going to be really, really fun. So spent that night in Portland, hung out with the team, saw Nick after, and then we went down and had had some drinks with some of the coaches and Bill and stuff like that. So it was a really, really fun night. And then the next morning woke up at 3 because we had to catch a plane at 6. So we got on a plane at 6 on Monday, flew home. I went straight from the airport down to Alta High to speak at a high school there. Spoke at a high school, and then came home and finally saw my kids, which was just awesome. It had been so long since I had seen Isabel and Kyle, and just coming in the door and having Izzy run up to me and give me a hug was just awesome. It really just reminded me of home, seeing Kyle there running around just super happy was just awesome. It was really cool. It was finally, and then finally, like, me and Paula actually got to relax. Cause even in Portland, like, we got there and it was go 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 go. It was so nice to see Paula. I just held her forever, but once we got home, it was just like, we just want to sleep in our own bed. So finally got to sleep in my bed last night, which was just amazing. Today woke up, we had a executive meeting at Molding Box, which went really, really awesome. Came back home, just kind of hung out for a little bit with the kids, and then I went to an MRI at 4:30, and I barely got home at 8. So I got there 4:30. So they had an emergency, so I didn't get in there till 5:30. I thought it was only going to be like an hour or something like that, or not even an hour, like 30, 45 minutes. But when I got there, they put in the IV, I laid down, and the guy's like, oh, well, this is going to take about 2 hours, so get comfortable. And so I'm like, oh, well, didn't know it couldn't take that long. So laying there, I thought it'd be cold, so I asked him to give me a blanket. And like an hour into it, I was just sweating. Like the whole face was just sweating back here. My whole boxers are just like soaked wet. My back was sweaty and stuff. And it was funny because the technician told me before, he's like, no, you'll probably get really hot in there. You're basically in like a human microwave. Like, oh, I'm kind of cold. But after that first hour, he's like, can you take this blanket off? It's crazy hot. So we took it off and then finished up the hour. And gonna go to a doctor's appointment next week, I think December 4th or something, to get readings and stuff like that. So they did the MRI of my neck, my middle, which is my middle back, my lower back, and then my pelvis. So a bunch of different pictures, which should be pretty cool. And they gave me, I used to get nauseated on the contrast dye they used, but I guess they gave me a different one this time, so I didn't get nauseated, which was super nice. And yeah, just home now, so been quite the journey the last week or so. Yeah, I'm excited for Thanksgiving. I'm really excited to be home. Really miss my family, miss my kids, miss my bed. So I'm gonna enjoy that tonight. Gonna try and get a full 8 hours in. So probably go to bed a little bit early and wake up early as well. So anyway, life's amazing. I'm really happy I did that back to back stuff and really got to go down there to see it. It was awesome. It was really, really cool. And just connecting with the people was awesome. And I'd say if you guys can do it, definitely do it. Find a way to help, and not just, you don't have to do something across the world. Like, just do something in your backyard. Like, call that person that you haven't called. Go give that bum $1. Yeah, he might buy crack with it, but what's it to you? Like, you helped out, And if you don't want to do that, go and donate to a local church. Go and donate your time to the kids that don't have parents. Just do something. Like, if you want the world to change, be the change. It sounds weird, but if you're the person doing it, you lead by example, not by telling people what to do. So Yeah, I love you all. I do. I'm really glad to be home. I'm really glad to be back on American soil. It's crazy. But yeah, I'll ask you guys. Are you closer to where you want to be now than you were a week ago? Because it's been a while, or even 30 minutes ago, or even 5 seconds ago, even 15 minutes ago from the time you started watching this video. So I know I am, and I hope you guys are too. And I'll be here helping you along. And yeah, hope everything's well. We'll talk to you all soon. Peace.